As many of you know, I am in charge of all of our classes, making sure that they're running well and that you're getting everything that you need. So today we are joined by Michael Maruzzi, and he is one of our math teachers here. And he has been with us for a long time and has seen many variations on many things we've done here at Zinkerz. How's it going, Michael?
It's going very well, thank you. I'm down in Florida and avoiding whatever snow is up in Massachusetts.
So, Michael, can you tell me, how long have you been working with us?
I think it goes back to 2017, if I'm correct in that. I think it was like October of 2017.
I think you're right. So we're on like 5.5 years working with you. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the classes that you teach?
I teach the SAT prep and ACT prep, and I also do the some of the what do I want to say? Subject matters. I work with some kids with the geometry platform, the Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 platforms. And calculus and other stuff I haven't seen in a long time. So those platforms are not as knowledgeable as I once was.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you came to end up working here at Zinkerz?
I taught high school math. I'm a quadriplegic, and I got injured in 1987. And I've been in a wheelchair for over 36 years now. And I went to college and graduated with a teaching degree in mathematics. And I taught for 25 years high school math at a high school I actually went to as a student up in Massachusetts. And then the physical demands of being in a school every day just became too much for my body. So I couldn't do it. And I loved what I did as a teacher. Working with kids is the most energetic, motivating part of life. And I missed it and found Zinkerz accidentally. I was just searching. I was on these tutoring sites and came across Zinkerz and read about it and got involved with it. And it was probably one of the best professional decisions I've ever made because I've been working there for up to over 5 years now, and it just, I enjoy it. I get the same or similar feelings of purpose and enjoy working with these kids. They're great students, but more than the great students that they are, they're just wonderful, wonderful kids. And being able to be a part of their preparations, it's an honor for me. And and above that, the people that are employed at Zinkerz, they're just the most wonderful people that I've come across in terms of a working environment where whatever the students need or the teachers need, it's there. And if they can't get it, they find a way to get it for you. So I couldn't ask for a better working situation at this point in my life.
That's awesome. I know we were so excited when we started working together and all the different classes that you were able to do. And I don't know if you know this, but like many of our teachers have been with us for many, many, many years. So we love that you've stayed with us and that you're still working for us, and you're working with us and helping all of these kids. So when you're working with these students, like what are some pieces of advice that you might give them during class, or some like inspirational things that you might say to them?
One of the things that I've noticed always about students when they get involved in major academic things, they put so much pressure on themselves to do well, it clouds their focus. And one of the things I always try to tell them is to keep in perspective, this is just math. It's not life. What you're going to be able to do goes beyond this. So if you think in terms of, okay, this is an important step, and focus and keep it in that perspective, then hopefully that takes some of that pressure off the students that they put on themselves so they can focus and achieve the goals that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's great. I know we were just quickly talking about the new SAT also, and you were talking about the material for the digital SAT. So that is a really big hot topic these days. So what do you think about the new digital SAT material?
It's similar, but there was one part where they said the wing of the questions would be shorter, and I looked at one of the questions of it was like a half a page. So that part I found interesting. But I think it's going to be a much better game for the students. The only issue I have, because I've been doing this when we had chalk and books that were actual books, is it's a little bit more difficult when you're doing digital where you have a diagram and you can't possibly write on paper with paper and pencil. And I don't know if that's part of this. That would be one of my curiosities as to how do you overcome that little obstacle there. But I also like all the new technology that's a part of the exam in terms of there's like an on-screen calculator they can use and the formulas and everything. It just seems like it's making the exam, it's updating it to the year 2023. It's where it was the same as it was when I took it 35 years ago. Now it's updated for, I think, in terms of the types of problems that you have now, that hopefully will express a more diverse audience of students that are taking the exam. So it's not where, understand that by culture or this or that. It's going to be opened up and give more opportunities for success for a larger group of kids.
Yeah, I could not agree more. So just one thing I did want to ask. So everyone always says, I don't know online. It's definitely different than being in person. So I know you said you haven't been in person in a while, but what are some of the big differences between teaching online and teaching in person? And what do you do as a teacher to make sure that students are learning when you're not face-to-face with them, although you are face-to-face on the camera?
Technology has changed my life dramatically. Without technology, I wouldn't be able to do half of the things that I'm able to do. So a brace, because my hands don't work, and I have a stylus, so I can screen and the students can see what I'm writing, and they can write on their screen and they can see what I can see what they're doing. So you can have that, and it's on a one-on-one basis. One of the unique things that is a accidental result of my injury is I have to do things a lot mentally because I can't write things down. So when I am teaching a student, I can teach in a different aspect because of the way that I have to do it for myself. So I can communicate with them step by step how things go. It's not anything. It's just unique to my situation. I found that it's effective working with students because if I have to do it, it helps me write something down. If I'm talking to them, then they're writing it down, they're hearing it from me, and they're also thinking. So they're seeing it in different forms when we do it together, which is a good thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely, I couldn't agree. I love that you were able to create the stylus holder. I know we met in person and you showed that to me. I think that is super handy, and that you were able to constantly adapt to make sure that you're able to meet the needs of the students. So I think that's really cool. So just one thing with the SAT that you did bring up was the diagram thing. And on the new SAT, we are noticing that they're doing the geometry problems, there's more than on the old SAT, but they're giving shapes, but they're also doing a lot of descriptions. And then the students they can have their paper and they can write it out. But it is a little bit different because they're not given as many diagrams. There's more descriptions instead of the actual diagram being in front of them. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's challenging? Or for you who describes more things, is that maybe easier for you to manage?
I'm still new into it, so I don't know completely, but I think it can be adapted, and I'm sure the students will adapt to it as well. I think it can work as long as they can work the problems out, and they can have an area where it's just not them looking and trying to match. Oh, I know this number goes in this spot, this number, and have to have that part be a part of their working with the problems. I think another thing that I liked about this, I think they give them more formulas with this.
So
exam.
It's the same formulas, but they're pop up. They're right there, right in your face. So I think the kids remember that they're there. Whereas on the old one, they would have to flip back to the beginning. And even though we stress that they're there, I know as a teacher, you stress that they're there and they should use them. They always forget. They always, not always, but it's easy to forget when you're in the test and you forget you have to flip back. So I think it's more in your face, and it's more of a reminder that they're there to help you. So I think that that's helpful as well.
That was always one of my biggest pet peeves as a teacher, when teachers would tell these students, well, you got to memorize all these formulas. I'm like,
right.
We don't need to teach them to memorize a formula. We need to teach them how to use the formula. So instead of wasting time doing that, I think this is an effective way for the kids to see, okay, here's my formula. I know the formula, because as you said, most of the time, if they see it, that recognition is going to be there quick. If they have to think, oh, I got to go back and look at it now, they've got to find the formula, go back to the problem, and it's more streamlined, and I think this will be more effective for the kids.
Mm-hmm. So I know, again, you've worked with us for a while, and your students, I know you have some of them, you worked with them for like you said, the Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and then transition into SAT with them. Inevitably, students are stressed out before tests, or sometimes maybe they don't get the results that they want. And because, taking the SAT, students have to take it multiple times. Do you have any general advice for students when they're preparing for tests, and when they're to try and calm their nerves and make sure that they're not stressed out and not so much focused on the actual result, but more focused on the journey and where they are in their path?
Yes. What I try to tell them is, when the problems are more about understanding simple concepts, but looking at them from a different perspective. So what I find that the exam does is it gives you all the topics that you know, but it disguises them, not so much disguises, but presents them in a manner that they're not used to seeing. So if they can say, "Ooh, I know this is the topic that I need to understand for this. These are the clues that I need to look for," and that gives you. So very often, if they learn that, the problems will give them direction. And the other thing I tell them about this exam is not really about the problems you get. It's about the problems you get right. Everybody thinks of their score as, "Ooh, I want to get an 800. And if I get one wrong, I'm not going to." And that's where you lose your focus. If you think, okay, you're building from zero, every question you get right improves your score. So don't focus on the questions you don't understand. Focus on the ones you do, and make sure you get those right, because that's how your score goes up, and that's how you improve your understanding as well.
That's so true. I love that. So my last question to close everything up would just be, in general, I know you've been through different iterations of the Zinkerz platform and the way that you're teaching from into the
Hmm.
virtual classroom. So what are some benefits that you see to where we are now, and what are some of the things that you like about just the overall Zinkerz platform and the setup and the way that we have the information for you?
So much more professionally done. I think it's much more user friendly for the students, and it's, again, from top to bottom, the platform, who run the platform, and the caliber of students that are involved and sign up just works as a team. It's like every part is connected and it just works perfectly together. And it's the other thing that I really like is it's constantly moving and changing to improve for the students. And everything is student driven. I mean, traveling to different countries to work with students and all these things that they do. I think it is a wonderful platform for kids to learn. I think it is a huge benefit for any student that gets involved, that has goals of beyond high school, achieving something and getting into a college where they can fulfill whatever professional dreams that they have. And Zinkerz is a perfect stepping stone to help them.
Well, that is great. Yes, we've definitely come a long way. We're constantly adapting. When the College Board comes out with a new test format, we sometimes have to quickly adapt and use the test that they put out, and then we're quickly making our own content that replicates everything. So I'm glad that you find that useful. I know that we're constantly working hard here with our team and trying to add content. And as you know, we're trying to communicate as much as possible with both the teachers and the students. So I love that you feel like there's a team here and that you feel like you're a part of the team. And we're just so happy to have you on board. And we are looking forward to obviously working with you much, much more. And hopefully, like you said, you'll be up here at some point soon and we'll be able to connect in person in the office.
Yes, that will work for me. So, and and on a personal note, that's the other reason I'm coming up, is to promote a new book that I just wrote too. So, that's my other reasoning for being up in Massachusetts come the summertime. So.
Yes, actually, when is that book coming out? I know you mentioned the book, and could you just tell me a little bit about what it's about and when it's coming out?
Actually, today I sent my final revisions with some photographs and some captions. So now it's going through page setup, and hopefully it'll be a printed version by early May.
That is great. Where will I be able to find one? Because I would love to look into that.
On Amazon, and I'm not completely sure how. I know you can get it. You'll be able to get it on Amazon, and I'm some other bookstore places, or that part I don't know yet. So I'm learning this process as well. So
I think that's really cool. What's the name of the book? Do you have the name yet?
Walking is Overrated.
I love it. Well, I know you will let me know once it comes out, right?
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to read the book. I can't wait to have you up here in July. Hopefully it will overlap with Zinkerz Camp. And again, we're just so happy that we found each other and that we're still working together 5.5 years later. So it's been a great run. And I can't wait to see what else we do.
Sounds good. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a great day.